Welcome back, degenerates, to Place Your Bets. I'm Tyler James. He's the one and only Eric Hansen. We cover Notre Dame football recruiting and more for InsideNDSports.com on the Rivals Network, and hopefully I have better Wi-Fi than I did last week. We like to make our prop bets and predictions about Notre Dame football, and this college football playoff keeps providing us opportunities to do so. Our season-long competition on the Inside Lounge rewards the first-place subscriber with a free 12-month extension of their subscription, and second place gets 6 free months. There's a thread to submit your picks listed in the video description below from over on the Insider Lounge. The Georgia prop bets last week, Eric, were about as tough as Notre Dame's defense. More folks ended up with 0 correct, 5 than our high score of 4, which 4 subscribers got. So kudos to Coles 21, Kurt VI 95, Cowder, and Rover 219 for scoring 4s. And unfortunately, booze for Eric, who was one of those with 0. How do you explain your performance, Eric?
I just wanted to be popular and be with the crowd that had the most common number right or wrong. And I feel like I fit in. And if I had a dunce cap sitting around the house, it would be on right now.
Well, I didn't do too hot. I only had 2 correct. And a lot of the people at the top of our standings only had 2 correct, too. Jimmy J1 is still holding on to first place at 48 correct prop bets this season. Rockney 93 is behind him at 47, and we have a trio of subscribers at 46. Because of Eric's 0, I did move ahead of him by 1 point. I have 43. Eric's at 42 after last week. All right, enough of what happened.
Who's the cat that was beating us last year all the time? What was his name?
Scott Claracy.
Scott Claracy. How's Scott doing? Do we know?
I think he's up there near the top. I think.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where he's at, but I know he's had some good weeks. So I think he's
okay.
He's probably not far off. We'll see.
I need to get on the phone with Scott and help me. If Notre Dame gets to Atlanta, then we're gonna kibitz.
I'm pretty sure I met Jimmy J1 and met it like a sort of a blow by. I was like on the way to the press conference down in Atlanta, I think, and he was walking the halls. And I'm pretty sure he said Jimmy J1 was who I was speaking to there. So hopefully I have that correct. Maybe I gave him some good luck, or maybe he stole all my powers from me. But let's get into our prop bets for the Notre Dame Penn State Orange Bowl matchup in the college football playoff semifinals. First one I have for us, Eric, is more rushing yards, Notre Dame or Penn State?
Notre Dame is the better rush offense. Penn State is a better run defense. But I think it's going to be more of Notre Dame's game plan, and they're going to be more successful, even if Jeremiah Love is wearing a brace. So, and I don't think he will wear it if he plays a lot. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I went with Notre Dame as well. The Penn State numbers are pretty incredible. They are only allowing 100.9 per game. They've held opponents under 100 yards 9 times this season. Only USC, Ohio State, and Oregon were the only 3 teams that were above 125. Those 3 were significantly above 125.
Right, and those are 3 pretty good offenses.
Right, those are the best offenses they played against, too.
You mean Kent State didn't have above 125? No, but I do think Penn State's run defense is very good.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see how good that Penn State run defense is, how limited is Notre Dame's run offense based on the status of Jeremiah Love. But I do think the difference to me, regardless of the Love status, is Leonard's ability to get yards, which leads us to our next prop bet, over under 50.5 rushing yards for Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard.
Yeah, I looked through all the Penn State box scores to see how they did against dual threat guys, and they really didn't have many.
No.
Kevin Jennings is about a 3.5 yard per carry guy, and he had a decent amount of yards this year, and I really liked him. But, I mean, that whole environment at Penn State threw him off, and I'm not taking anything away from Penn State's defense. And Dylan Gabriel is about a 2 yard per carry guy. He definitely has wheels, but he doesn't use them a lot. They've not seen anything like Riley Leonard. And Riley Leonard averages almost 6 yards a carry, has 15 or 16 rushing touchdowns. And he's going to be a big part of the game plan, and I think he's going to get it done. And, kind of based on where I'm going with my prediction later, I think he's got to be over.
All right. Yeah, I'm going over as well. He's rushed for more than 50 yards on 7 occasions this season, including 80 last week against Georgia. I expect Riley Leonard to be above that number. And if not, I think that's a bad sign for Notre Dame.
You know what? You know what's a bad sign? I think last week I wore Georgia red on Place Your Bets Day, and today I just happened to pick out a white shirt, and guess whose color that is?
You're celebrating your own whiteout.
Exactly. So this might not end well.
All right. Our next one is, will Penn State tight end Tyler Warren catch a touchdown pass?
Man, he's really good. And I did look up his recruiting cred, and he was a 3-star guy. He was the number 39 tight end. And it's funny, he was in the same class with Michael Mayer and Kevin Bauman, who were numbers 3 and 5. And certainly Mayer lived up to it. And Bauman, if he hadn't been injured, who knows what he would have been. Eight touchdown catches, I think 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 touchdown pass. I could see him scoring a touchdown, but I'm going to say he doesn't catch a touchdown pass on the number 1 pass defense in the country.
I'm going to go with yes. I think that Penn State likes to get creative and find ways to get him the ball, lining him up in different spots and making it hard to really keep track of what he's doing. So I think Notre Dame's going to have a lot of attention on him, but I don't think the Irish can completely shut him down. So I'm going to predict Warren gets a touchdown pass coming off a 2-touchdown reception game against Boise State. All right, next one. Over under 185.5 passing yards for Penn State quarterback Drew Allar.
I kind of think that's similar to Georgia. I kind of think that's how the game has to go for Penn State to win it and for Penn State to be in it. I think they're going to have to get those yards through the air because Notre Dame's going to lean into the run defense. And, you know, Allar's had games where he's been lower. And I mean, this is a hard one, but my sense is that he's going to be a little bit over that.
Yeah, I went with over as well, despite how good Notre Dame's pass defense is. Notre Dame's held 9 teams under that passing total, but the last 3 have thrown for at least 215 yards. Allar's been over that number 9 times, but not in the last 2 wins against SMU and Boise State, and I think that's because Penn State didn't need him to be.
Right.
They were having so much success elsewhere. But I just think there's going to be a lot of throws to Tyler Warren, Nicholas Singleton out of the backfield. And then Penn State's going to take some shots outside. I don't expect them to be completed at a high rate, but a couple of them end up adding up and in the yards department and will allow Drew Allar to hit the over on this number. All right, more sacks, Notre Dame or Penn State?
You know, both these teams are pretty good at protecting their quarterbacks. I don't think Penn State has an obvious soft spot like Georgia did. However, I think Riley Leonard's escapability is going to help in this equation. So I'm actually going to kind of go counter to what I should. Penn State is the better sacking team. I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Penn State. The numbers are shockingly similar. Penn State averages 2.6 sacks and allows 1.27, and Notre Dame averages 2.64 sacks and allows 1.29. So there's not a lot of separation statistically on the season between those two teams. I feel like Penn State has guys it can go to get sacks, whereas Notre Dame has to create with its pass rush, and it has done so successfully with stunts and blitzes. But I think that may end up in this game leading to pressure and maybe not always sacks. And maybe Penn State's able to get maybe one more sack than Notre Dame does this game. So I'm going with Penn State.
I also think Penn State's going to throw more than Notre Dame too.
Sure,
but
that's fair.
Are you figuring Abdul Carter's playing at fairly effective?
I think even no matter what percentage he plays at, he's going to demand the attention.
Right.
So like that could open up something for someone else too.
Okay.
I don't know that it will be him playing at his best. But I just think that Penn State's going to be able to do some other things. And I think he's not necessarily the only pass rusher that they have that can get to the quarterback.
He's not the only one they have.
Yeah, though he's certainly the best at doing that. All right, our next one. How many times will the TV broadcast mention that Al Golden went to Penn State?
I think maybe 2. I thought that was an over under, but under like 5. I think maybe 2. I think they'll mention it at the top of the show, and they'll mention it maybe one other time, and then there'll be other storylines that they need to pursue at that point.
Yeah, what I created our list of props and then sent them to you, and then I changed it when I put them into the system here. So that's why the question is different. That's not a you problem. That was a me problem.
Okay.
So I did have it an over under. Eric's not hallucinating, but I changed it at the last minute without communicating that. So yeah, I think it's probably going to be overused. So I would go more in the 4 or 5 range.
Well, it's the group. It's like McGrath and gosh, the same group that was for the Sugar Bowl, right?
Was it
McElroy?
McElroy,
yeah, that group. They seem like they're not too. I mean, there are certain broadcast groups they would mention it 18 times.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to imagine there's probably at least some sort of like package or like story that maybe they'll throw it to McGrath on the sideline to have a story about it or whatever. But hopefully it's not beaten into the ground, or maybe it's a good thing if it's beaten into the ground, because that means Notre Dame's doing well and they have to talk about Al Golden a lot. But yeah, the size of the scrum around him today in Fort Lauderdale was big, both from Notre Dame reporters and Penn State reporters, and even probably.
I hope Molly appreciates that I thought of her first when I thought about that broadcast team.
I can picture the main play-by-play guy, but his name is escaping me.
Sean McDonough, I think, is it?
Okay.
Yeah, the little bald guy.
All right. Our final score prediction for Notre Dame, Penn State. What do you got?
Boy, I'm really boring here. I'm going to go Notre Dame 24, Penn State 20.
All right, you scare me because I thought we might end up with the same score. You really nailed the Mitch Jeter field goals last week, so this one's a little more conventional. But I have a pretty conventional score too. I have Notre Dame 24, Penn State 17. I just think Notre Dame's gonna be able to score enough and hold down Penn State's offense and probably come up with a big play on special teams to help make a difference.
I think Marcus was willing to kick those long field goals against Georgia. I think in this game, he's going to be a little bit more aggressive going forward on 4th down and not settling for a field goal. I don't think Jeter's going to miss them or whatever. I just think Marcus is going to say, we're playing to get in the national championship. We're going for it. So I think there's going to be fewer of those opportunities.
All right, I think that makes some sense. Make sure you.
Well, this is coming from the guy that got 0 last week and is wearing the other team's colors. So
the next thing, for your post game show with Bob Morton, you're going to show up with a Nittany Lion suit on. Well, that's all we got.
Joe Paterno's glasses.
Head over to InsideNDSports.com for all of our written content. Over here on YouTube, we'll have Into the End Zone with Bob Morton and Eric Hansen after the game. Then late after the game, Eric and I will have our post-game takeaways. And we hope you guys can enjoy another day of college football with Notre Dame playing. And we'll see how the Orange Bowl turns out for everybody. Have a good one.